Hi, in this video we'll be talking about functions embedded in data structures. In Python, functions are described as first-class objects. This is because they are objects just like any other objects and can be used just like any other objects. If you want to learn more about functions as first-class objects, you can watch my previous video where I'm covering this topic in detail. Anyways, as ordinary objects, functions can also be embedded in data structures like lists, tuples, dictionaries, and so on. We can use functions created by means of the def statement as well as lambdas. Let's have a look at both cases. First, we'll need a couple of functions, so let's create some really basic ones we can then work on. Here are our functions: add, subtract, multiply, divide. Really very simple and straightforward. The functions will be put in a list. Then we can iterate over the functions in a loop and call them. So let's create a list. Functions equals, and here we have add, subtract, multiply, divide, and let's add a lambda. Lambda AB, a to the power of b. Okay. Now let's define two numbers, num1, num2, equal to 8 and 5 respectively. And now let's loop over the functions. For func in functions, now let me make it a bit smaller so that we can see everything on the screen. So for func in functions, print result of, and now here we're using the $name attribute, and we use the $name attribute to retrieve the name of the function. So the name of the add, subtract, and so on function with arguments num1 and num2, 8 and 5. And here we have the result of the function. So let's run this program now. And here's the output. Result of the add function with arguments 8 and 5, 13. Result of the subtract function with arguments 8 and 5, 3. Result of the multiply function with arguments 8 and 5, 40. Result of the divide function with arguments 8 and 5, 1.6. And of course, in the last example, we don't have the name of the function because it's an anonymous function created by means of a lambda expression. So result of the lambda function with arguments 8 and 5 is 32,768. If you want to learn more about anonymous functions and lambda expressions, I have a video about it, so feel free to watch it. To be brief, lambdas are used to create functions just like the def statement, but the functions don't have a name. That's why we call them anonymous, and they're usually quite simple. In our example, we embedded the functions in a list. Let's have a look at an example with a dictionary. We'll be using the same simple functions as before, so we don't need that. And here we have a dictionary. So the keys in the dictionary are the signs, plus, minus, times, etc. And the values are the functions, also the lambda function. Now we want the user to do two things. First, choose an operation like addition, subtraction, and so on, and second, enter two numbers. So first, let's ask the user to enter the operation, and for that purpose we need a prompt, and we want the prompt to be readable, so let's make it quite long, and let's define it first and then use it in the input function. So here we have prompt, select an operation, plus for adding two numbers, minus for subtracting two numbers, and so on, your choice. And now we can use this prompt inside an input function. So let's create a variable operation equals input prompt. Fine, so this is one thing. And now we want the user to enter two numbers. We can do it like so. Numbers equals input, enter two numbers, separating them with a comma. Now the user input is split on the comma so that you get two numbers. Now, as we know, whatever the user enters is treated as a string, and we need numbers. So let's convert them to floats. Num1, num2 equals float. So we have numbers with index 0. Numbers is now a list because the split function creates a list with two numbers, and this is the first number, and the second number, float, numbers 1. Okay. Now the program needs to know which function to call. So let's create a variable, func, and assign to it the operation chosen by the user. Functions with a key operation. And now we want the program to print the following message. Result of the, here we get the name of the function. With arguments, here we get the two numbers. And here we get the result of the appropriate function. So now let's run this program. Fine. Select an operation. Plus for adding two numbers, minus for subtracting two numbers, and so on. Your choice. And let's enter a star. Enter two numbers, separating them with a comma. Let's enter 2.4 and 10. Result of the multiply function with arguments 2.4 and 10 is 24. And of course, it works just the same for all the other functions. Okay, that's it for this video. If you like it, a thumbs up would be great. Also, make sure to subscribe for future videos. If you want to leave a comment or ask a question, you're welcome to do so. Thanks for watching.